Okay. For those of you that do not know me, my name is Shelley Dupuis, and I'm the middle school, high school principal. Also with us this evening is our athletic director, Mr. Andrew Capone, as well as some of our winter coaches for this season. At the end of the meeting, we will have the opportunity to ask any questions that you may have. So at the end of the meeting, please feel free to unmute yourself, type in the chat, or ask any questions that you may have. Our goal for tonight is to provide you with a brief overview of the winter sports season and review the steps that need to be taken to ensure a smooth transition and start to the season. Once the season begins, individual team coaches will provide all of their athletes with team-specific information. At the end of the presentation, again, we will allow for any questions that you may have. If a student in grades 7 through 12 would like to participate in the winter sports season, students are invited to participate and sign up for basketball. Most athletes have already signed up to date, but if you have not done so, please consider this your last call. All athletes wishing to play basketball must be registered and approved via Arbiter, which was formerly known as Family ID. The link to Arbiter can be found on the district website under the Athletics or the Sports Registration tab. All athletes must have a current physical on file with our school nurse. Physicals can either be uploaded directly onto Arbiter system or can be emailed, faxed, or dropped off to Nurse Sipowicz at the middle school, high school office. All student athletes must also meet the Hartford Central School academic eligibility policy in order to participate, and I will review that policy later in the presentation. If you have any questions about your physical, please reach out to Nurse Sipowicz. If you have any questions about the registration process itself and whether if your child has been approved to participate, please reach out to Mrs. Connor in the middle school, high school main office. Parents will get an email communication regarding the registration status or if corrections are needed. Most of the time in this system, if corrections are needed, it is on the signature side. So if you do it on a phone, it is tricky to see as it is small, but most of the time it requests a parent signature and then right underneath a student signature. If those two signatures are mixed up, a correction will be needed. And you will receive an email letting you know that your corrections need to happen in order for the athlete to be approved. Once the athlete has been approved, both medically and making sure all of their paperwork is submitted on Arbiter, the parent will then be notified once again via email that the athlete is approved and cleared for participation. The winter sports season officially begins for JV and varsity athletes on November 18th, and modified sports can begin on November 25th. As you will see on the screen, our varsity girls tryouts will be on the 18th from 3 to 5. Varsity and JV, our boys varsity and JV will be from 5 to 7. Modified, the date and time is to be determined, but the earliest modified can begin is November 25th. And we will be sure to contact all of our modified athletes and let them know the exact date and time for practice to begin. So currently our numbers for signups are as follows. So for girls basketball modified, we currently have 5. 9 through 12th, which would be considered JV and varsity, we have 16. Boys basketball modified, we have 7, and JV and varsity, we have 21. So we would love to be able to have all 3 levels at the girls and boys level. But right now we do need a few more girls to get out there and sign up. So if there's any girls or boys who have not signed up yet, please do so as soon as possible. And that will help us to prepare for our season and to give us more information if we will have enough players to have each level. Again, this is dependent on the number of people who show up for tryouts, who try out and make the team as well. But that's where we stand with our registration as of today. So again, we're hoping to be able to have all 3 levels. Still need a couple more players to go out, sign up, and try out for a team. So please encourage friends, relatives, if they have not already done that yet, to please go out and do so. Participation in playing time. This is a question that comes up every year in any sport and at any level. At the varsity level is competitive. Teams are playing to win games. They're playing to win the Adirondack League, and they're trying to participate in sectional play. The coach will be putting the best players on the court that will give the team the best chance to win at all times. At the varsity level, there is no guarantee of playing time for individual athletes, and all playing time is earned by each player. JV is also a competitive level, and it will continue to help prepare our athletes to improve their skill level and then to prepare them for varsity play. The coach will attempt to play everyone, but again, at this level, playing time is earned as well. At the modified level, some of them are new to the sport, and they're working to develop their skills that are needed for game and team play. Coaches will provide playing time at the modified level for all athletes. Each team may have specific rules about playing time and missed practices, attitude, behavior, etc., that the coaches will review with all individual teams. This year, I really want our athletes and teams to focus on not only developing their athletic skills, but also working to be team players who demonstrate good sportsmanship while positively encouraging their own teammates to strive for improvement. If during the season you are unhappy with playing time or have a concern, please schedule a time to meet with a coach that is agreed upon by both individuals. Meeting with a coach before or after a game is never a good idea, and it is highly discouraged. If you are not satisfied with the outcome of the coach's meeting, please reach out to Mr. Capone, and he will set up a meeting with yourself and district administration. First and foremost, all of our athletes are students, and all student athletes must meet the requirements in order to maintain academic eligibility to participate in sports according to our Board of Education policy number 527. Student athletes will be evaluated at the end of the 5-week or quarterly reporting periods. If a student is failing 2 or 3 classes, the student must stay after and complete the re-eligibility process, as they would be placed on academic probation for the next 5 weeks. The re-eligibility process is as follows. Students stay after with a teacher whose courses they are failing and have a teacher sign a form verifying their attendance for extra help or support. For example, if a student is failing math and science, the student needs to stay after once the following week for science and once for math each week until the end of the 5-week grade marking period. Each week, students need to pick up a form and submit their form to Mrs. Connor in the main office by the end of the day on Friday in order to guarantee participation for the following week and eligibility. Students also have to be academically eligible in order to participate in open gym sessions. If a student is failing 4 or more courses, the student is ineligible to participate in athletics and will unfortunately be removed from the team. If a student has any questions about the re-eligibility process, please see myself or Mrs. Connor in the main office. And as you will see on the screen, eligibility grades will be based off of Q1 grades. So Q1 grades were due today. All students' eligibility will be based on those grades. Student attendance is also very important, not only for our athletes, but for all of our students as well. In order to participate in a practice or game, athletes must be in attendance by 10 a.m. on the day of a game or in order to participate. If a student arrives after 10 a.m., their arrival will require a legal excuse. Examples of a legal excuse would be a doctor's note, dentist appointment, family emergency, religious observation, quarantine, or an educational activity. These excuses must have proper documentation and be submitted when a student arrives at school. If a student athlete is suspended or has an in-school suspension, he or she is not eligible to participate that day. Coaches, too, may also have additional consequences in addition to the school-imposed consequences for an athlete. The district will provide transportation for all student athletes to ride to and from athletic contests on school-provided transportation. It is a requirement that all athletes ride district transportation to and from all contests. If a student cannot make the bus and needs transportation to a contest, the student must get prior approval from the principal to be driven to the contest by a parent. For example, this might be student has a late doctor's appointment and they would not be able to get back to Hartford Central School in order to catch the bus. Parent would need to reach out to me, let me know that I would approve it, and also let the coach know so the coach isn't waiting in the circle for the bus to head to the game. If an athlete wishes to ride home from an away contest with a parent, the athlete can be signed out with the coach after the contest. The athlete needs to get prior approval from me. They just need to sign out with the coach after the game. Please be mindful that students are not allowed to ride home with anyone other than their parent or guardian. Just some general information about the winter sports season. In order for an athlete to qualify for advanced placement, a coach must recommend advanced placement for a student athlete to be considered. This process has already taken place for our students. So if your child or if you as an athlete has not heard from a coach that they would like you to try and test up for advanced placement, then you have not been considered. And at this time, the coaches are not looking to advance you for advanced placement. Those students who have been asked already, the student athlete will be athletically tested. They must pass a physical assessment, and they must also be cleared by our school physician for advanced play. At that time, the athlete is then approved to try out. After the tryout period, the coaches will determine if the athlete will be advanced or if the athlete will go back to their appropriate grade level for play. For an example, if an 8th grader has been coach recommended to play JV or varsity, the athlete, again, must pass an athletic testing, a health screening by our school physician, and then try out and make the team. If the student does not qualify or make the team, the athlete would then remain on modified. If the athlete does make the team, the athlete then will be promoted and advanced to the JV or varsity level, depending on the coach's recommendation. All athletes must follow the district code and the athletic code of conduct. Coaches will review those codes with the teams at the beginning of the seasons, and I have already reviewed the district code of conduct with all of our students during the first week of the school year. As I stated earlier, academics is a top priority for our athletes. Athletes are encouraged to stay after school for extra help and support or to get their homework done prior to practice times. Students may stay after with teachers Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays until 3:10. If a student is not staying after with a teacher, there will be supervision in the cafeteria until 3:10, Monday through Thursday, and 2:50 on Friday. After 3:10, there is no supervision and students must leave the building. Students cannot hang out in the building unsupervised and must make alternative arrangements for late practices. On the screen, as you will see, we have our coaches for boys varsity, Raymond Harrington, girls varsity, Jason Johnson, boys JV, Wendy Harrington, Girls JV, Jennifer Johnson. Boys Modified, Gavin Darfler. And Girls Modified, Jason Johnson. So as you see, we have 6 teams, and our locations for practice would be the gymnasium and the cafeteria. The cafeteria would be appropriate for skills, not running a full practice, where it would be appropriate for modified practice, and then for skills at the varsity or the JV level. So as you will see, there is a sample listing of what the practice schedule will look like. Unfortunately, the practice schedule is as follows, and as you will see, we'll have to go until 9 o'clock on some nights. So that schedule will be given to everybody once we get underway and the coaches have secured their slots, but that is a sample of what it could look like. So please be mindful that we really are limited on gym space. So we try very hard to make accommodations and make a schedule that will be accommodating for all levels. Also, there might be some Saturday or Sunday practices by certain coaches as well, so that our teams can get the most use out of our gym space. Spectators. We ask all of our spectators to be positive and adhere to the Section 2 rules and the Code of Conduct. We also ask that people respect our rule of no food or drink in the gym, and any spectator who conducts him or herself poorly will be asked to leave the gymnasium. Most importantly, we ask all of our spectators to be positive. So unfortunately, this year in our fall season, we have had to ask students leave games or contests. We have had to ask spectators to leave games or contests due to inappropriate spectator conduct. So we do not want to be known as that school where our fans are unruly. We want to be known as that school where we demonstrate good sportsmanship, whether we're winning or whether we are losing. We do have to keep in mind that it is very, very hard to get officials for any sport at any level. So these people are human. They are going to make mistakes. The referees who ref the NBA, who make thousands and thousands of dollars, they still make mistakes. So we're aware there's going to be bad calls. There's going to be calls you don't agree with, but please conduct yourself in an appropriate manner. Goes for our student athletes, our student body, and also for any spectator in the Hartford Central School gymnasium. It is a rule, if you are asked to leave, that you do either face a 1-game suspension or you need to take a course on our NFHS system and an online course on sportsmanship, and then turn in a certificate in order to return to the gymnasium. So please be mindful, please be positive, and please be a positive spectator in the Hartford Central School Gymnasium or in any other gymnasium that Hartford Central School is playing in. This year, the district has 2 options for viewing fall sports and supporting Taninger athletics if you are unable to come on campus. Again, this year, we do have the NFHS, which is an online streaming service for indoor sports, and that is a membership that is required, and that is $40 through Hartford Central School. This membership would provide you streaming rights to all home, JV, varsity JV, and modified home indoor sports, and also to any streaming rights in the state or in the county that also has the NFHS system. And then again at sectional, regional, and state champions. Even if Hartford maybe not participating in one of those games at those levels, you would still have that access to view that through the NFH system. If you are interested in a membership, please see Mrs. Connor in the middle school, high school office, and she will be able to provide you with that information. Our second option is Huddle, which is also an online streaming service, which is free. And this would be able to stream JV, varsity, and modified basketball games from the Hartford Central School gymnasium. In order to use that system, you can check out fan.huddle.com and then search for Hartford Central School, or you can find that on our district website. So 2 great opportunities to support the Hartford Tanningers if you are not able to support them in person. All right, this is the end of my formal presentation. At this time, I would like to thank our coaches, our athletic director, parents, and athletes for your time. We are looking forward to the upcoming season. Also, just a reminder, we will have our Fall Sports Awards Night on Thursday at 6 o'clock in the auditorium. And Mr. Capone, at this time, do you have anything that you would like to add?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Dupuis, for that information there. Just to go back onto the practice schedule a little bit, the practice schedule is always very challenging for this season because ideally we would love to have modified in the gym, but as Ms. Dupuis had presented, by the time you try to get JV varsities for both males and females through, you're going to 9 o'clock. Then that's only having an hour and a half practice. That's pending there's no games, Strive for 5, there's nothing else going on in the gymnasium. So, people are going to have to be creative when it comes to the use of the cafeteria. Unfortunately, we did lose a few baskets in the cafeteria with the renovation project. So, people are going to have to be creative with that. If you're interested in seeing when practices are, if you go to the hartfordcsd.com webpage and go to the athletic page there is a practice schedule that is posted on there. It's a live schedule that I try to update as I get information. Right now, you'll just see the first 3 days of tryouts showing on there, but it's a good resource for people to use. So if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to myself about that, and I'd be happy to help you with it. That's about it for me.
Thank you, Mr. Capone. So at this time, if anybody has any questions, feel free to unmute yourself or you can type them in the chat. At this time, I am going to stop the recording.